Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome to week 1 of Psychology of Play. My name is John Morton. I am one of the instructors for this class. I will be leading the go-to training today. If you are in another instructor's course or in their section of the class, don't worry. We collaborate and do go-to trainings with several classes put together. So if you don't recognize me, that's okay. You're still in the right place. How is everyone doing today? Good. Excellent. I'm glad to hear it. I have everyone, your microphones are all muted just to reduce background noise and make it a little bit easier for me to navigate. I'm doing well. Thank you all. Thank you all for answering. If you do want to talk, with your voice, you're free to reach out to me through the chat box if you want to ask a question. I'm happy to answer that way. If you don't feel like typing it up, or you're in a position where you can't type it up and you'd rather talk, there's a little hand raise button. You can hit the hand raise button, and I can unmute your microphone. And you're free if you want to have conversation. I will ask everybody to use the chat box as a way to ask me questions as opposed to talk amongst yourselves. Just because when someone has a question and we're all chatting in there back and forth, it flies by really quickly, and I tend to miss things. So just so that everybody's questions get answered, and so that we don't have a side conversation going. If you see somebody and you want to talk with somebody about something, feel free to message them through the Full Sail Online platform, or email them, or whatever that looks like. But it's just easier for our purposes to just have that be communication directly to me. But yeah, we're here in Psychology of Play. I'm sure everyone's probably a lot of month 2. That's usually where we fall. I really enjoy teaching Psychology of Play. A little bit of background for me, that is a picture of me. That is what I look like when I'm wearing a dress shirt and bow tie. My education is in clinical social work. That's really what I'm passionate about: helping people, meeting people where they are, and helping them get where they want to be going. And I think that this class does a really good job of setting everyone up for that. I think that we act as a great equalizer for everybody, kind of no matter where you're coming in. We want everyone to come into our class and feel comfortable with where they are, and also leave our class knowing, what the speed of education is going to be like, know why you're here, and have some really practical tools to take with you moving forward. That's really, at the end of the day, what this class does. I feel like we've got some great tools that we'll talk about and that we'll teach over the course of the month that most other psychology classes aren't teaching. Most of them, in my experience, were theoretical. They would teach you about psychology and psychological disorder, which is fine and is interesting to learn about and has its merit. But I think we do a lot more practical work. So be prepared for that. If you're anticipating a lot of theory, and conversation around disorder, that's not so much what it's about. We're really thinking about how to. I don't want to. It's cliche to say how to live your best life, but that's very much the direction that I think that we go with this course. We want everyone to be operating at their peak. We want you all to have the skills that you're going to need to be successful in education, but also that will be what set you apart and make you successful in your careers. And I think that this class does a great job at paving the way for that. So I hope everybody's excited. I'm going to get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about where we're going over the course of the go-to training. I'm going to talk a lot about what our assignments look like, things like that. I know that's probably everyone's saying, oh, there's an assignment due tonight. What's that about? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? Everyone has the Full Sail Online platform. It looks something like this. This is an old version of it. I'm actually going to click to another window. So here you go. Here's what week 1 looks like. Stretch that down a little bit. So here's what we're doing through week 1. We have our week 1. I have a welcome video. If you're in my class, I hope you've watched that. We have our community discussion board. Anytime you want to, chat amongst yourselves, talk to your peers, if you want to share projects you're working on or things that you're interested in, or you're just looking for a place to connect with people, the community discussion board is a great place to do that. Here we are right now in our activity 1.1, the live lecture. You're all doing it. Great. Awesome. If you aren't able to complete the live lecture, or something comes up, you lose your internet, there'll be an archive. I will save this recording, and afterwards I will put it into the live lecture section, so you can get a hold of that if you need it. If you miss something or just want to go back and review something, the live lecture will be hosted there. And then that brings us to our weekly plan, which is due tonight. So that is our first hard deadline of the week. It's due tonight. It looks like this. So here are the directions, and basically what we're doing with our weekly plan. I can actually click on this. I believe it will scroll down. It gives us a picture of what a weekly plan would look like if we were to type it out, to write it out by hand. We actually have a template prepared, which I will pull up and show everybody. It's down here. So if you haven't seen the template, you can come down here and you can click on it. We'll open up our template. And it should look something like this. So, it's pretty self-explanatory. Insert your name here. Weekly plan for week 1. And we start off with our work section. So our work section, or daily priorities, is where we're going to put just that work that we want to get done, daily kind of adulting type priorities is what I mean by that. So this is a great place to put all of your homework assignments. So if you're going to work on your homework assignments today, tell me what assignments you're going to work on. Say, well, I'm going to work on my weekly plan because that's due tonight, and I'm also going to start in on the readings. I'm going to do the readings, and I'm going to start working on the discussion board, which the initial post is due on Thursday for that. All those type of things. If you're gonna, if you take the trash out, if you know that, Friday is trash day and Thursday you say, I'm going to take the trash out today, or you're going to, you have a shift at your regular job, put that in there. Well, whatever it is, that's what we're doing with these. Any responsibilities that we have that we need to take care of, any priorities that we absolutely need to get done. We're going to have, I'm sure there's more than three adult responsibilities we all have every day, but pick your top 3 things that I'd recommend. The most important ones are the ones I'd recommend putting in there. Is it okay if we batch some items? Sure, totally. That's great. We talk about time batching. So yeah, absolutely. That's not a problem. Then we move on to the play activities. So every day, I would like you all to think of one play activity you can do. And this doesn't have to be something huge and intense. It can be if you have something that you really want to do, or say, one day a week you have a marathon gaming session with your friends. That's fine. Yeah. Tyler, you can definitely turn in one that's more detailed. Absolutely. Please feel free to, if you are making a second submission, do it as long as it's in by the deadline, which is tonight at 11:59 p.m. Eastern time. There shouldn't be a problem with making a second submission. So in our play activities, yeah, of course, you're more than welcome. In the play activity, we're going to put something that you love doing, and it can be, it's whatever it is for you. Um, I would say, yeah, it's fine. If you have to do it again, don't worry about it. In the play activity, again, I'd encourage people to be specific. If you're playing a video game, that's cool. What video games are you playing right now? And you might not, you might be, playing several video games, and if you don't get them all, if you don't tell me exactly which game you play on which day, that's fine. I'm not, but tell me generally, if you're playing 3 video games and you write the names of those 3 video games in there, that'd be great. I'd like to know what you're actually getting into. What if it's not appropriate? Keep it appropriate. That would be my answer. That falls under professionalism, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But yeah, I would say keep it appropriate. Keep it PG, maybe PG-13. But yeah, it's really not. If it's not something that's appropriate, don't. I would keep it to yourself. That would be how I would handle that. I think that's a pretty good kind of guideline to have in there. If it's not something that we would want shared publicly, maybe not something we'd want to talk to our grandparents about. I don't know, whoever the person is, you wouldn't want to know that. I'd just say, yeah, let's keep it professional. Charles, it says, since I'm in the hospital setting, my routine is pretty much the same thing every day, so I batch different appointments. Okay, that's good. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, if you have different appointments as appointments, totally, that's absolutely fine, not a problem. So one thing I'm going to say about play activities is inevitably someone will type in there, no play, no time for play. I will ask you in all of these sections to use this as an aspirational schedule. What do you aspire to? If time isn't an issue for you, what are the play activities you're going to do? If your life and circumstances allow for it, what would be the things that you do? Because inevitably someone, same thing, in every section says, I don't have time for this. What if you don't want to use the template? Use it anyway. That if you have a different template that you'd like to use, then I'd be interested to see and hear about it. But this is the template that we want everyone to use. It works well. It's a great visualization of the week. And I think that just generally speaking, in school, you're going to be given templates to fill out. Sometimes you'll be able to make your own template. If you have a different template that fulfills these same requirements, you might be able to talk with. If you're in my section, I'd be happy to hear about it and see what it is. If you're not in my section, you might want to talk with your instructor about what template you'd like to use. But I'd say you use the template unless you have something better. Use the template is what I would say. So again, our play activities are what's fun for us. Play is going to be different for everyone. If you've submitted the assignment, can you withdraw and make? You can't withdraw your submission, but you can resubmit. It might need to be resubmitted in the feedback section, which is fine. So yeah, I would definitely resubmit if you want to make corrections, amendments, etc. Go for it. As long as they're in by the deadline, I think all the instructors are probably going to be pretty okay accepting a resubmission as long as it's in ahead of that deadline. Like I was saying about play, it's going to be different for everyone. What's fun for me and what's fun for all of you might be way different things. I really like gardening. That's like one of my favorite things. Gardening. I like running. Those are two of the things that I really enjoy. I spend a lot of my time doing those things. Some people are like, that sounds horrible. I don't want to do those things. Yeah, right. It's really peaceful for me. I really like it. I enjoy it. So those would be things that I'd probably put in my play activities. I realize that not everyone is into that. The wouldn't running go into fit and wellness? It could. If that's what I'm doing it for, sure. If I'm doing it for fun, it could be both. Some things kind of bridge the gap between two different things. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. It's okay if they blend from one to the next thing. You know, play doesn't have to, just be, it doesn't have to look one particular way, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What's fun for each person is different. So if some people are like, I really love, playing the piano, and some people are like, that sounds miserable to me. It's okay. Just, you can, what's fun for you is fine to put in there. But again, keep it professional. Um, Fit and wellness. Nathaniel says, "Hey, the type of thing I like to do is be outdoors, and I like to play video games." Okay. You want to do augmented reality work? That's cool. Yeah, not to worry. You could put all those things. Yeah, all those things could go into your play section. That'd be great. Yeah, it is. It is an interesting video games come to life. Yeah, absolutely. If you're having trouble downloading the file for the template, I would say touch base with FSO support. That's probably going to be your best bet for getting a hold of that template. But yeah, I would touch base with them just as a safeguard. They're usually pretty good at walking everyone through that. So I'm going to move on to the fit and wellness. Yeah, the question are the 1, 2, and 3 bullet points. What activities you're going to do on that day? Oh, they don't have to be the same things, but yeah, you'd want to put things there. They don't have to be the same tasks that you do every day, but I would say, what are the 3 tasks that you definitely want to get done? On Monday. What are 3 tasks you want to get done on Tuesday? They might be similar tasks, but not necessarily. Is it necessary to put the name of the video I intend to watch? Um, if you're going to watch a movie, I mean, I'm curious to know what movie you're watching. You could, you know you could put something else, I guess. It's really up to you. Um, I don't know that I would deduct points if you didn't tell me what movie you were watching, but if you're watching YouTube videos, and what channel are you watching, what piques your interest, I'm curious to know, but I don't know that I wouldn't deduct points for not telling me specifically. But I think it's interesting to kind of think about our play activities and what's fun for us, and what we're actually going to do, how we'd like to spend our free time. Um, so that's up to you. In the fit and wellness section, this is a place where um, we really have a wide berth for what falls into the fit and wellness category. This can be physical fitness, emotional fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness. If you are a practitioner of spiritual things, what wellness looks like is different to everyone. Again, is this my mental wellness? Is this how I feel? Is this am I taking care of myself and my surroundings? Um, it's really one of those things where we offer a lot of space and a lot of freedom for people to put what fits for them in that category, because some people love the gym and they're like, I'm going to go to the gym, and it's this is leg day and this is this other day. Get your hair done. Yeah, if that's something that you're doing because you feel better at the end of that, or it's something that you do, you say, hey, I really feel great about myself when I feel like I look good and I get my hair done. Yeah, absolutely. That could absolutely go into there. If you're thinking about, hey, I want to make myself a healthy meal, you can put that in there. If you, right, like I said, if you engage in, some spiritual practice, you could put that if that's what you like. Some people are just say, I want to sit and meditate. That's fine. Some people are say, I want to do a crossword puzzle because that helps me feel better mentally. Um, if it's fitness for you, then that works. Samantha, the question was, would taking my dog to the dog park be considered fitness? If that's something that you feel contributes to your overall fitness and well-being, then by all means, that's something great that you could put in there. I used to spend a lot of time with my dog at the dog park. It was a lot of fun. My dog got to run around. I would usually just sit and kind of be quiet and enjoy being outdoors. But yeah, absolutely, that's definitely something that you could put in that category. And then we have the push section. The push section is one that I think people sometimes are a little bit confused on. This is a place where I would definitely encourage people to be aspirational. If you don't get every push task done each day, it's okay. We understand it. But it's a good way to take a big goal that you have and start breaking it down into manageable pieces. And I think that's the best way to look at it. So what's a goal that you have? What's something that you want to be doing that's really pushing you outside of your comfort zone and above and beyond what you're otherwise being asked to do? I've had students who are, learning a new language, and they're learning Japanese. It's okay, well, that's great. What's a task that you can do? What's something that you can do that, um, you know, directly relates to, learning Japanese, learning a new language. Um, so if it's okay, well, I had a conversation in Japanese with the person, or I watched, I did a training video, or I listened to, to a tape or to a recording that was related to this. The point that I'm trying to make is that I'm looking for actual specific tasks that you could do that are building up towards a big overarching goal that you have. Dante, yes, it says, I assume push means goals. Yes, absolutely. Nathaniel, so basically all I really have to do is tell you what I like to do in this plan. Uh, in this plan, my week out and events with this assignment. I don't know that I would say you need to tell me what you like to do. In the play section, it's definitely what you like to do. In the work section, it's, hey, what are you going to be doing that's related to your work and adult responsibilities? As far as fitness and well-being, what are things you can do that are related to that? And similarly, in the push section, what are some bigger overarching goals that are pushing you outside of your comfort zone, that are going above and beyond what you're being asked to do otherwise? And what's the breakdown of those? Um, Cameron, get my laundry done. That's a great daily priority kind of work goal type of thing, I think. Yeah, no, Nathaniel, you're fine if you're trying to hands free. If you're talk to text, that's no worries. I understand. Um, so Nathaniel, going. So yeah, so you go through the week, and right, in the weekly plan, I'll say this: the weekly plan is really here for you to visualize your week, to get organized, and to think about things in a slightly different way. It's not for me. I'm not going to quiz you at the end of the week and say, "Uh-oh, did you remember to do that thing on Friday that you said you were going to do?" It's not what my what my goal is with it. Um, I think that as a planning tool, it's really useful to think about the tasks that we have and look at the deadlines that we have, and then kind of lay all that out and say, okay, well, I know I need to get all these things done. So, here's where I'm going to put them. Melissa asks, what about wedding planning? You're planning your own wedding, or you're a wedding planner? Kind of either way. It can go into probably work. If it's really fun for you, it could go into play. If you feel like it fits into another category, that's fine. Planning your own for August, congratulations. It could go into your push section if you wanted to. Really, it's what you think is most appropriate for you is what I'll tell you. Um, yeah, Jordan did a good kind of brief Cliff Notes version of this. Your work daily priorities list is tasks you would like to finish each day. Yep. The play section is something that you enjoy doing each day. Yep. Fitness and wellness, fairly self-explanatory, and push is a task that pushes you closer to your goals, your bigger kind of more overarching goals for life. Absolutely. Yeah, this is absolutely an organizer. It's a way to get your weekly plans laid out and think about things in that way. Especially when you can put your deadlines and things like that in. So most of the deadlines at Full Sail are Sunday night deadlines. This plan is a Tuesday night deadline, and the initial post on the discussion board is due on Thursday night. So it's kind of a little bit of a heads up for people to say, hey, if you're not thinking about these things here, you should be. If you make your schedule and you print it out or set it as your background for the week, or you just keep it open, keep the file open, you can go through and you can look and say, okay, I completed this activity or I didn't complete this activity. Maybe things, if something needs to be done by Thursday and you try to work on it Tuesday, and if you don't finish it Tuesday, it pushes to Wednesday. um, I think it's just a great way to make sure that you're getting done everything that you need to get done. It's a good way to ensure that things don't slip through the cracks. I think that accountability really goes a long way. It did for me when I was in school. I would say, okay, here's everything that I need to get done. And I was actually one who liked to kind of put all my work into the front of my week instead of the back of my week. Because what I found, if something was due on a Friday or a Saturday or a Sunday or whenever it was due, if I waited till the last minute, anything can really come up. I I and I just don't like that. I don't like that anything can come up. I don't like that you know, um, I had something last week that I meant to do on Friday and I didn't get around to it. And then I was busy on Saturday and I didn't get around to it. And then Sunday came around and I had a ton of stuff that I had to do on Sunday. It was my kid's birthday. We were having a party. We went to the zoo. And I was just sitting and struggling and thinking, oh no, when am I going to get this stuff done? And I squeezed in some time and I got it done. But it caused me some stress that if I had worked on it, on Friday when I had a little bit more free time, I probably wouldn't have been under that stress. So it's a really good way to make sure that we don't find ourselves in those situations. Inevitably, someone will chime in at this point and say, I do great under stress. That's great if you do. I'm just telling you, generally speaking, here's a great practice to get into. It might alleviate some stress and anxiety in your life. If that helps you, great. If it doesn't, you know yourself better than I do. I can't tell anyone, hey, here's how you ought to be, because everyone is different. But as a best practices, I think this is a really good way to go. So right, I like to put all my busy, important stuff at the beginning of the week. After that, before I move on to the next portion of this, does anyone have any questions about the work, play, fit, or push sections? Any questions at all? Any questions about the assignment so far? No? Okay, wonderful. If you do, chime in with them. If you have them but you don't want to ask them here, you're welcome to email me. It is due tonight. Yes, that is correct. All right, so after that, we have our reflection questions. It's a little different for someone who's going back to school at age 46. Yeah, absolutely. Samantha, do we have to include yesterday on it? For week one, I would say no. It's okay to not include what you did yesterday, but next week, I would include week one next week. Yeah, that's probably a good thing to do. You can work on it ahead of that, obviously ahead of the due date. But yeah, if it's not there for this week, I will understand that. So right at the bottom down here, we have our week 1 reflection questions, and it says answer each question with a minimum of 5 to 6 detailed sentences. So we're looking for a paragraph type responses. So the question 1, what's your experience with goal setting? And each week these questions are going to be different, so kind of keep that in mind. There's going to be different reflection questions each week at the bottom of this template, which is probably another good reason to make sure that you're using the template, just to make sure that you're answering the questions. So what's your experience with goal setting? Tell us about that. Tell me what, have you ever set a goal before? What did that look like? If you haven't set a goal, why haven't you set goals before? What's kept you from that? Tell me a little bit more. Whatever you have to say, make sure, tell me something there. Don't just say, I've set a goal and it was fine. I set a goal and I did it, and that's it. We're looking for a slightly more in-depth answer. We're going 5 to 6 sentences, so keep that in mind. Question 2, after reading this plan, which area will be the most challenging for you, and which will be the easiest for you? So, again, knowing you all know yourselves better than I do. Where do you struggle? What's tough for you and what's easy for you? And I don't just mean it'll be easy to play, because it's easy to play. But go a little deeper. Why is it easy to play? Why is making time for fun things easier to do than making time for homework? Why is it easier to do the dishes than it is to do something less enjoyable than doing dishes? I don't have a good example for that. Yeah, no, procrastination is a huge answer. I think that that's a great point to address. That's a great thing to know about yourself. So address that. Kind of keep that in the discussion as you're going through. Let us know. Right? Hey, here's why I struggle with this, or here's what's easy for me, and here's what's hard for me. But go through those. Make sure you're answering full paragraphs, 5 to 6 sentences. Any questions about these? Yeah, Ron says it's easier to work and do schoolwork, and it's harder to play. Yeah, totally. It's definitely harder to find time for play. I know for me, I have video games, and I'm just like, I can never find time to do it because I'm busy with other things I think I want to get done. Tyler says, I know I'm horrible with it, so I really have to push myself to get work done at the beginning of the week. Yeah, that's how I got through college. It was just, I had to work ahead. I turned things in early because I knew that otherwise I would wait till the last minute, and it was a challenge for me. Nathaniel, I have a bounce of both. That's good. Yeah, Dante, if you feel like you're a horrible organizer, I think that this is a great tool to kind of get everything all in one place. It's like, hey, here's everything I need to do. I can't tell you how many, I use my calendar app on my phone, and I use the lists on my phone because I can't remember everything. I can't remember what I need from the grocery store. So just write everything down. And it means I don't have to occupy my mental space remembering groceries that I need to pick up. I just have it all written down. Yep. I think a lot of people wait until the last minute. I think that it's one of those things that we do until it really turns and bites us in the rear end. At least that's kind of been my experience, that, I would put things off because I wanted to do fun things instead. And then there were just enough times where I was just like, oh, this is really miserable. I remember being a child, and I don't know, I was probably in middle school. I just remember being terrified on a Saturday evening when I realized that I needed to have memorized the periodic table of elements for a test on Monday. And I just was like, I had no clue. And I remember I probably started crying because I was like, I could completely forgotten. And I remember like, oh, I need to know all this stuff. And I waited till the last minute to start working on it. And yeah, I made flashcards, and I'm sure I passed the test, but um, it was the very unpleasant Saturday night and Sunday morning, Sunday all day, just doing, periodic table memorization flashcards. Yeah, Robert, it's a good plan. If you can get all your schoolwork done, or shoot for getting all your schoolwork done by Wednesday, that's awesome. I think that's a great plan. Um, yeah, feeling guilty taking time for play when there's work to be done. I totally get that. That's tough. Absolutely. Yeah, getting our assignments done, and having 3 days free, that's totally the way to do it. Because if something fun comes up later on in the week, you're like, hey, my work's already done. I don't have to go do work right now. I can definitely take advantage of whatever fun things come up. And fun things seem to just come up during the weekend. So if you've waited till the weekend to do your homework, it's like, oh, I waited till the best day is to have fun things come up. So yeah, I would say, work ahead to the best of your ability. Okay, so that covers the weekly plan. Everyone good on the weekly plan? Work, play, fit, push, reflection questions. Oh, all right, wonderful. Hang on, someone asked a question. Let me see what it says. Samantha says, I try to space everything out. So I do one piece of homework a day. I get bored, or I get bored and forget about it. Yeah, absolutely. If that is working for you, that's awesome. Yeah, I know that I had to do that with math classes. When I was in math, I had to do math every day, or else I would forget things. I couldn't remember. If I gave myself too many days where I hadn't been doing math, I was like, and I forgot math now. So I totally get that. Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Well, looks like everyone's good on that. Wonderful. That's great to hear. So right, we scroll down a little bit more. We look at this. I'll do it on this sheet because this is a little bit easier. So that was the weekly plan. So then we have these readings. Activity 1.3 and activity 1.4 are weekly readings. So they look like this. Here is one of them. So you can scroll through these. The readings are related directly to the weekly quiz and also to the discussion board. So make sure that you've done the readings before you do the quiz and before you start working on your discussion board post. So it's something to think about. You're going to be asked each week to discuss topics from the readings. And when we ask for you to discuss topics, we're looking for like words like this, time batching. You can see it's in a big bold text, or font. Time batching is one of the topics from this reading. And then you kind of can go in and look at it and see underneath and see what it talks about. Peak performance is another one. It's a great topic you can talk about. What sometimes happens is we start looking at other readings. So here's another reading, and your play history. That's a good example of a topic that it's really interesting. It's fun. Sometimes this will happen. Qualities of play, this happens a lot because someone will say, oh, I want to talk about the qualities of play. So down here you look and there's this list of qualities of play. And the discussion board asks you to discuss two topics. And someone will say, oh, I'm going to talk about two qualities of play. And qualities of play is one topic. It has this subsection where it talks about different qualities of play. But each one of these is not its own topic. So please, please, please make sure that you are picking two completely different topics to discuss in your discussion board. Otherwise, you will lose points. If you kind of take one topic and you try to split it into two pieces, you will not get full credit for it. So please, please, please make sure you're discussing two completely different topics. You could discuss qualities of play and play personalities. Same thing happens with play personalities a lot. There's these 8 play personalities. People will talk about 2 of them and say, oh, well, I talked about these 2. And it's like, well, you talked about play personalities, which play personalities is one topic. So just make sure you're discussing 2 topics. What I tell everyone to do, the easiest way to make sure that you've definitely discussed 2 completely separate topics, is pick one from each reading. We have activity 1.3 is a reading and activity 1.4 is a reading. If you pick one topic from each reading, you will definitely, be discussing 2 completely different topics. It won't be an issue. I'm sure all of you will do exactly that because you're all here and you're in the go-to training. And inevitably it will be someone who's not here who maybe has that issue. But yeah, that's I'm glad that all of you will know that for sure. So it's excellent. But right, go through the readings. They're really interesting. I like them a lot. But here we go. Here's our discussion 1.5, which is our discussion board. So the initial post, and this is a kind of a 2-part activity. We have our initial post and we have response post. So the initial post is due Thursday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. It says, in your initial post, provide at least 1 paragraph for each of the following questions. Again, 5 to 6 detailed sentences, and then post directly to the discussion board, as opposed to posting a file. Please do not post a Word document or something like that in there. Please, there's a box at the bottom. Don't put it in the feedback, but there's a different box for a submission. If you want to type it all up in a word processing app, you can do that and then copy it and paste it into the submission box. But please, please, please make sure that you're submitting text onto the discussion board as opposed to files. When you submit a file, it really decreases engagement because people have to then click on your file and download it and go view it elsewhere. And they tend not to engage and read. It also adds an extra step for me when I'm going through and trying to read everything. So that is my request, that we please submit actual block of text in the discussion board post. So here we go. Here are the questions we're going to answer. Number 1, describe an activity that you find fun. Please keep it professional. What do you enjoy most about the activity? And how would you talk others into trying this activity? So there you go. That is really 3 separate questions. Describe an activity that you find fun. Tell me what's enjoyable about it. What do you like most about this activity? How, is it fun? How does it make you feel? What do you, how are you engaged in it? And then how would you talk other people into trying it? Hey, I really like this activity. I know we share similar interests, or I know that, these are the things that really appeal to me, and I think that you might like them because. So make sure that, answer that question in all of its parts. Identify and define at least 2 concepts from the week 1 readings. So tell me what concept you're going to talk about, and then define it in your own words. Please don't copy and paste the definition from the readings. I know where they are. I want to know that you have internalized them and that they make sense to you and that they resonate. That it's like, okay, I get what this is talking about. I know what this is. It's not just copying and pasting. So question 3, provide an example of how these concepts tie into the activity you described above. So how are they related to the activity that you find fun? Most of our topics in some way, shape, or form are related back to things that are enjoyable for us. So make sure that those are in line. Question number 4, what percentage of your play goals did you complete this week? So where are you? How many of those did you get done? Then How did play impact your week, your mood, your motivation, self-esteem, relationships, etc.? And right, this is for good or for bad. How did play impact your relationships? Was it, oh well, I ignored all my friends because I got this new game and I played that all week, and my friends are mad at me now. Whatever it is, or you could say, my friends and I all got together and played this game and we're closer than ever. Whatever it is, how is play impacting your life? How is that? A theme in your life that kind of how is that thread weaving through your life? Let me know about that. And then 5, it says upload an image of you engaging in play. If you can have it be the play activity that you've described, that'd be great. If that's something that you can't, I understand. If you're playing a video game, you can take a picture of yourself playing a video game, or you can take a screenshot, whatever makes you happy. I'm not looking to invade your privacy, but it's just a fun way to say, hey, here's what I like to do. Or especially if it's something, that's a little bit different. If hey, here's a picture of me gardening. Here's a picture of me riding motorcycles. Here's a picture of me sewing, sewing clothes. Whatever it is that you think is fun and enjoyable, take a picture of yourself doing that thing. All right, and now response posts. So in between the submission on Thursday night and Sunday night, we want you to respond to to 2 of your peers. So we're going to respond to 2 of our classmates to their initial posts. And this is a response to their post. If someone responds to you and you respond back to them, that is not the response that I'm looking for. I'm actually looking for you to go read someone else's post and then respond to it, or actually go read 2 other people's posts and then respond to them. So keep that in mind. That is what I'm looking for in terms of responses. We're using the RISE model for giving feedback, and the RISE model stands for reflect, inquire, suggest, and elevate. So there's kind of examples that they go through with that, but just keep this in mind when you're giving feedback. I'd say, it's nice to know that this is a good way to give very thoughtful feedback. So I think it's really helpful. And I think people really like it when you give them, meaningful feedback. Anyone can say, hey, I like what you like. We should play video games online together. That's great. I'm glad that you like what they like. And it'd be great if you guys played video games online together. But we want meaningful feedback. We want to, reflect on what the person has said. Hey, you were talking about this thing. Tell me a little bit more about that. You said you were into, building your own, cosplay armor. What's the process of that actually look like? Make a suggestion. Have you ever, thought about using this type of material? Elevate the conversation. Bring something else into it. Whatever that looks like for you. It's just a way to. It's not a comment section, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's really easy for everyone to just think, oh, I can just leave a comment, and this is comment section, which is popular right now. It's just what people are used to doing. But we're not leaving comments. We're leaving feedback for people. So it's like, hey, I actually read what you wrote, and here's what I have to say about that. Does anyone have any questions about the discussion board or any of its parts? No. Jump in with them if you do. I'm happy to hear them, happy to answer them. The grading rubric is down here for the discussion board. So it says thoroughly addresses all parts and meets length requirements. So that means you are writing full paragraphs and that you've thoroughly addressed all the parts of the question. So we have multi-part questions. Are you addressing each part of that question? If you're not, you're probably going to lose points. Provides clear and specific examples and or concepts in the initial post. So does your post talk about things from the readings? Are you providing specific examples from the readings when you're discussing topics from our course? respond to at least 2 classmates using the RISE model. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, sure. If you're watching a movie, you can submit a picture of that. That's fine. Makes no spelling and grammar errors. I'm pretty lenient about this because I realize that we haven't been through our English comp class. What I'll say about this is, there's basic things that I think everyone understands about the English language. If you're sending me a text type conversation, that's not what I won't be LOLing. Um, I'll be frustrated with your grammar and spelling. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is actual, like a real conversation. It's not just you're not chatting with your friend. Where this is an actual college submission. So use actual language. No text abbreviations, things like that. Please and thank you. And then finally, we meet the initial post deadline, which means Thursday night. If for some reason you miss that deadline, you can still make your post, and you can respond to an additional peer, so 3 responses total, to earn those 10 points back. So if, let's just say, something horrible happens and you just forget that you're in school, and you remember on Friday and you're like, oh no, I missed the deadline. And then you say, well, what can I do? Well, you can still make your post. So go and make your post, and respond to an additional peer. So where normally you'd only have to respond to 2 peers if you made the submission on time, you'd respond to 3 peers. If you didn't make your initial submission on time, you can respond to an additional peer for a total of 3 responses and earn the 10 points back. So it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, Cameron, you only have to respond to 2 people if everything's on time. So that adds up to your total of 100 points. It's all pretty straightforward. Everyone feeling good about that? I hope that you are. Yes. All right, wonderful. So that covers, can we build extra credit? There is not extra credit for the class. I don't offer extra credit. I think the only time that extra credit would come into the situation is if there's really like a dire situation where that was going to be like if you had missed activities and you needed to go back. There may be an opportunity to make stuff up if necessary, or if that's going to be a passing failing kind of difference. But yeah, no, unfortunately we don't offer it to get just to raise the grades. But I think that this class is a class that most people do really well in. That's the good news. Most people do very well in our class. We have a lot of fun. We have a good time. It's all pretty straightforward. I think that our expectations are pretty clear. If you read the directions for everything, what we're looking for is always, pretty transparent. We'll go on real quick and say that after that we have the 1.6, which is the brain teaser or test. Call it a test or quiz or whatever terminology you feel comfortable with. It's an open book test. And I say open book, and I really mean open readings. You can use the readings, read the readings first, but then keep them open when you're taking the test. We're okay with it. It says open book for just that reason. We don't want you to fail. We want to know that you read the readings and that you can retain and kind of go back and review that material and be able to answer some questions about it afterwards. So that's kind of what we're looking for. But yeah, make sure you've done the readings. And then the bonus material is just extra information where we put things that we find interesting, things that we want to include, but maybe didn't have a way to incorporate it into the regular content for the week. So if you're really interested in the stuff that we're talking about and you want to go a little bit deeper, you can always check out the bonus material. It's a great place to do that. I'm going to give everyone a break. Take about 10 minutes if you need to get food or drink or whatever it is. I'm at 2:55 here. I'm going to come back at 3:05. So we're going to go 10 minutes and then we will all be back. So I'll see you all in 10 minutes. All right, everybody, welcome back. Thank you all so much for being here again. And I think everyone should probably be able to. You can still see and hear everything? Yes. Okay, wonderful. So, going to close this. I'll close that. All right, so we'll continue on talking about our plans. This is all things we went over already. Oh yeah, the last point to mention is check your messages daily. It's a tool that we use. You'll have a little notification when you get messages. Make sure you're logging on. Make sure you're logging on to the platform every day, if at all possible, just to make sure that you're not missing anything, so on and so forth. But yeah, log in every day if you can and check your messages. So right, so we're going to talk a little bit about play, because I know that finally what we're going to get around to is talking about play and how that works. So why did we come to Full Sail? What brings us here? What made us all decide to show up and get our education here? You could type if you want to actually talk and raise hands. I'm happy to call on people. Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. One of the gaming schools, best gaming schools in the country. Sure. You didn't want to learn programming on your own? Yeah, absolutely. I get that. I totally understand. That can definitely be challenging. You want to open your own recording studio? Okay. Best school for your desired field? Okay, awesome. Web development, online tools, has a good gaming section, accelerated programs. Okay, cool. Hey, I just want to real quick, everyone. There are a couple side conversations going. If we could cut those out for right now, it would make everything a lot easier for me, just so I can make sure I'm seeing everything that everyone's saying. All right. Yeah, people love gaming. Sure. So I think that everyone's probably fairly passionate about what they're in school for. Everyone has something that's driving them. We're all passionate about something. It's something that we probably like a lot. It's fun for us. It's something that we are prepared for and want to do on a daily basis. We really step back and kind of take a broader look at everything. We have something that we like and we have something that we want to do, and maybe it's technical and awesome if it is, but kind of taking it back a little bit further and looking at things from a larger perspective. It gives us a lot more perspective, really, when we're able to do that. It's something that I've found when I was in school. Like I said, I went to school for clinical social work. And I had a pretty narrow idea of what that was going to be like. I said, okay, well, I think I'm going to do X, Y, and Z things when I graduate, and blah blah blah, and that's what my plan is at least. Um, so what will my job and work and everything else look like? Um, and then the reality of it all is that it was not very much like that at all. It ended up being pretty different. And what I do now in education is not at all what I thought it would be like. So kind of being able to broaden our perspective of the world, of what our jobs and careers and life will look like. It can be pretty freeing. I think it's pretty interesting to kind of take a step back every now and then and say, hey, I'm really focused on this, but if I take a few steps back and I look at it, how does that change? What we find is that the common threads with the industries that most of us are going into, and really what's in demand from a workforce that was, in large part, computers and machines took over a lot of the kind of, I don't want to say boring sequential work, but it's kind of boring and sequential. But a lot of tasks got mechanized over the years. So what they found is like, okay, well, computers can do all these things. What can computers not do? Um, eh, creative work, innovation, things like that. Um, that's where we have the opportunity to shine. That's what's different for us. It's part of it is yeah, totally. What can computers not do so far? Um, they can do a lot, but there are some limitations presently. Um, we've all got this, kind of ability in us to be, innovative and creative. And what we find fuels it is play. If you think about play in a lot of terms, it's the one thing that we all do kind of throughout our life. And I think that some people, maybe as they get older, they stop thinking about play the same way. Um, I think people start to view play a little bit differently. Some people, as they get older, they say, "Oh, I don't have time for this," blah blah blah. But if you think about it, especially when you're young, you learn everything through play. You learn, all of your, social cues, how you're supposed to be in the world, all of your boundaries, things like that, all come as a result of play. My wife and I are going through this presently with our kids because one child is really testing all the boundaries, which is understandable. It's what kids do. It's what they do at that age. I've got 3-year-old twin boys, and they are, um, they're pretty intense. One of them goes with the flow, and he's cool, and the other one is like, I'm not going to do anything you tell me. And from a developmental standpoint, it all makes sense. It's like, okay, well, these are the things that happen with kids, and I have that um, background. My education, like I said, is in clinical social work. So developmental psychology, how that works, how your brain works over the years. It all makes sense that someone would be testing boundaries because they're learning. Kids are learning everything through play, through fun activities. My two boys will wrestle each other, and they want to learn about what they can do and what they can't do, and who's bigger and who's stronger, and how far can I push before my brother will push me back, or how far can I push my parents before they lose their patience and they'll put me in timeout, or whatever it is. So it's interesting to see, and frustrating, and frustrating as a parent. Um, but yeah, Nathaniel says, well, I don't really have a limit. I like to be out of the box. and make me universal. Okay. Um, Cameron, can my daily priorities checklist be the same since I also work full time? Sure. Yeah, that's fine. Um, all right. So when we think about play, it says play, how it shapes the brain, uh, opens the soul, imagination, and invigorate. Opens the imagination and invigorates the soul. Sorry. Um, I think that might seem over dramatic, but I think that the reality is that play really does. It shapes so much of how we view the world, of what we think about certain situations. Especially again from a developmental standpoint, if we're looking at how this will be archived. Yes. Um, how our brains function, what we want them to do, what they, and we'll get into this later on in the month. We'll talk about things like neuroplasticity and how our brains work and how they remember things and how they don't remember things. But so much of the things that we really commit to memory are the things that are fun for us. They're the play things. You remember the rules of the games that you play, and you probably remember the maps of the video games that you're playing, and you commit a lot of stuff to memory. Um, Based on play. You remember the you know um, minutia and small details of shows that you're watching and details that are happening in the lives of characters who are imaginary. um, and right, because it's interesting to you, because it's what's fun. You think about playing an instrument, and this is something that doesn't really come up. I believe it gets discussed in week 4. But you think about something like that, and it's like the workout that your brain gets when you play an instrument is pretty intense. Similarly, how it works on us imagination wise. Um, I realized that what imagination looks like and what creativity looks like is dramatically different from childhood to adulthood, but I think that it's all effectively the same thing. Kind of says there's a recent study done on kids who played Pokemon at a young age versus kids who didn't, and how it changed our brains, developed them to categorize information. That is really neat. No, that's super interesting. I did not know about that, so that's really cool. But yeah, I think that right. Yeah, absolutely. The things that we do for fun, absolutely. We are, as humans, we like to draw parallels between things. So we like to say, "Oh, this is just like this other thing I've done." So when we can find parallels and similarities, we like to make those connections. And this is a great example of that. Thank you, Kenneth, for bringing that up. That's really cool. I'll have to go. If you find that study, I would love for you to email that to me. I'll go look for it later on if I can remember. But yeah, again, what we're doing for fun really does have a lot of impact on how our brains work and function, and how we end up using them over the years. It's an important developmental part of our life. So we'll go through the definitions of play, and we'll go through them one by one. Um, so we have apparently purposeless, and what that really just means is that it's something that we're doing for its own sake. We're doing it because we like doing it and we want to do it, not because there's some exterior motivation. And there might be there might be other motivations to do what it is that we're doing, but our main driver is that we like the thing, we like the game, we like the play activity. That's the main driver. um, play is voluntary, so that's one where we're choosing it. We pick to play. If someone makes you do that a thing, it's probably not going to be as much fun or as enjoyable. Or if you're not in the mood for it, and your family says, it's family time, everybody get out here, we're gonna have some family fun together, and everyone kind of groans. So maybe that's not a situation in your life. I hope that the family fun that you had was real fun and not mandated fun. I know that any prior service members, I know a lot of my friends and other students have told me about mandated fun in the military. They're told to have fun and when and how to do it, um, which just yeah, that's what everyone says. Yeah, so right. It's not the same thing. Play has to be voluntary for it to really count. Um, so there's an inherent attraction to play. It's something that we know we like it. We see other people doing it, and we want to join in. Kind of so on and so forth in that way. Freedom of time will show up a lot when we're playing. We lose track of time. I think everyone's probably done this at some point in their life. I know I've done this. This happens to me when I play video games. As I sit down and start playing, and then hours fly by, and then I look up and I'm like, oh, how did this happen? Um, so I'm sure people can relate to that in whatever it is. Maybe get lost in a book or whatever, whatever the experience is. Diminished consciousness of self. That's one where a couple things happen when we have a diminished consciousness of self. One of them is that we might not notice things that are happening with us or in us. So we might be out playing. We might not realize, oh, I haven't had anything to eat or drink for a couple hours. Or you're playing and maybe you got a cut or a scratch, and you're like, oh, I didn't even realize that was there because I was so engaged in what I was doing. um, and also we kind of care a little bit less when we're really engaged in play in how we look. Looking foolish doesn't seem like as big a deal when we're really doing something that we love. I think that that's something that is really important. I think that it's important to be engaged and caring about our activities more than we care about what other people think about us, or if we look silly, or whatever it is. Um, Nathaniel, you're right. I watch a lot of anime, play chess, play video games, and I read all the time. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad to hear it. Play is absolutely a discovery. Absolutely, I agree with you. Play has an improvisational potential, so we are always able to kind of step out and use our imagination. We can always improvise. We can always, kind of make our own space and make our own thing with play activities. And sometimes there's a lot of freedom and a lot of improvisational potential, and sometimes there's just a little bit. But it usually tends to have that. It usually tends to say, hey, you can kind of choose how things go to some extent with play. And there's continuation desire. So when we start playing, we usually want to keep playing. It's usually something that keeps drawing us back in, something that we want to continue to do. So don't confuse these with play personalities. They're totally different. Yeah, absolutely separate topics. It says, remember, it's about the journey, not the outcome. So that's the end of this slide deck. I've got another one I want to go through real quick. We might not get through the whole thing. We're almost definitely not going to get through the whole thing. That's fine. I'm just going to jump right into it. So here we go. We'll talk about the play personalities. I think that's probably what we'll get the most out of talking about this. These will come up again as we get into the readings. And I think that they probably resonate the most with people. So I think that they're pretty important. My hope is that you think play is valuable as an adult. Feel free to sit and ponder this and think about that question. Do you think play is valuable as an adult? I get some genuine no's every month. Some people are just like, nope, I'm a grown up and I'm busy and I have stuff to do. And like, there's no judgments here. Like it doesn't, you can think whatever you think. Um, yeah. I think a lot of people, right. You want to go out and have fun. It's kind of what keeps you refreshed and, kind of feeling good. Um, I think the reality is, I think the reality is that as adults, play looks a little bit different for people, and some people who insist that they don't play in a childish way or a way that they think play, they think play means, I don't know, kid stuff. And I think that like that whole I'm an adult mentality maybe keeps people from it. But again, neither here nor there. Yeah, Samantha, I do. If you don't have any fun in your life, then you're just going through the motions and forget to look at things in a new way. Absolutely, James. What's the point of being an adult if you can't act a little childish sometimes? Yeah, absolutely. Um, the idea that there's this, play and seriousness, and that they are mutually exclusive. They can't cross over. Um, Yeah, Angela's stay-at-home mom. Oh, two toddlers. Yeah, that's intense. Yeah, you yeah, I'm with you. You definitely need some downtime to refresh and play and have fun. Yeah, or else right, it's easy to snap. Um, yeah, I think right. Again, it sounds like everyone's pretty on board. Um, Donna says, as an adult, you're right. The things that playthings are much more expensive as an adult. Absolutely, yeah. When we especially get into like cars and motorsports and big big toys, yeah, it can absolutely get costly, or whatever it is that you enjoy. I know that's one of those funny things. It's every time it's boats come up. We're in Florida, so it's like the only thing better than having a boat is having a friend with a boat, uh, which 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 is great. Um, yeah, going to live concerts, absolutely. Yeah, no, those are really fun things. But right, play may look different as an adult. That's something to keep in mind. It doesn't have to be kids playing hopscotch and jumping rope. Things that we did as kids might still be fun, but it might change for us, and it's okay if it's changed. You're going to go through the play history. It's in the reading, and I think that it's definitely worth looking at. So it's something that we ask people to, right, look at their childhood and think about their play activities and think about how those play activities are related to what you're doing now with your life, with your career, with your education, and think about the connections that are there. I think it's really worth a good look, and I'd encourage everyone to maybe dig a little bit deeper into that topic. Jerome says it's interesting to think about how we play not only developed us as children, but right, how it helps us as adults too. That is exactly what the play history kind of examines. So if you're liking that, then I would say, you know, when you get to the play history discussion in the readings, yeah, those ears should perk up a little bit. It's pretty interesting stuff. All right, so we're going to go through the play personalities. Chances are we have at least one of these, but probably two or three or several of these that we can relate with at some level. We're going to relate with one of these. We have the Joker, this just what it sounds like, someone who, likes to laugh. They maybe like practical jokes. They, are probably goofing around a lot. Maybe they were a class clown. Kind of what you might imagine. I enjoy. I have a couple of people in my department who we all like to play little jokes on each other and things like that. It's a lot of fun for all of us. It's all good fun. It's not mean spirited or anything. But yeah, it's fun if that's something that that you like and that you can you have other people. I think that's the hard part, is that if you really like jokes and you like having a good time and laughing and finding some like-minded individuals, and again, people who have the time and are up for it. It can be a lot of fun. So the Explorer. I think that the Explorer play personality is one that I actually didn't I fully, kind of think about when I first saw it. I saw it and I thought, I don't do very much traveling. I don't know that I'm an explorer. I haven't been very many places. And then I stopped and I thought about it and I said, I like to learn and I like to see the rest of the world, even if I don't go there. And I even like exploring imagined worlds. I like open world video games. I like to go out and explore the maps. I like to see what all's out there. I like to see what's happening. And it kind of just came to me. I'm like, oh, you know what? Exploration can be so many different things. It doesn't have to just be this one thing that I've imagined it to be. And I think that that's pretty interesting to look at, and it's a nice way for me to be like, oh, that this is broader and more inclusive than maybe I'd given it credit for. It also can totally mean you love to travel and that's your favorite thing and exploring the world. Cool, that also works. Then we have the kinesthete, someone who wants to be in motion. A lot of times, right, our athletes, our dancers, um, any of those people. The kinesthete very much is that. We have our competitor, and this is someone who is more interested in competition than they are in maybe what it is that they're doing. Maybe the thing that they're drawn to is the challenge. It's they're like, oh, I want to be the best, or I want to do this the fastest, or whatever it is. The competitor likes competition probably more than they like the actual games and whatnot that they're engaged in. The artist personality, almost everyone at Full Sail usually has some of that. Someone who is creative, who wants to create, share with the world, show others, kind of what's going on in their head. We have the director, and this is somebody who maybe wants to do a little bit more coaching type work, someone who maybe doesn't like getting down in the mix of things. Maybe somebody who likes to see something come together but doesn't actually like to be a player in it all. um, you like the setup and organization, but execution is not your favorite part of play. That's a director for you. um, and then the storyteller. I am a story listener. I love to hear stories. Sometimes I can tell them, but I don't feel like I can tell them as well as I can listen to them. But I think everyone probably has a storyteller in their life, someone who you could just sit and they could just tell stories for hours and they're just captivating and great at it. It's a real talent when people can tell stories well. I really enjoy it when I get to be around my friends who tell stories well. We have the collector play personality, and it's just what it sounds like. It's someone who collects. Like inevitably, we get interesting collections. I have a collection of rare and exotic fruit trees. That is what I do in my free time. I work out in the garden and I collect fruit trees. I like that a lot. It's really fun for me. Um, but a lot of people are like, that seems like, that's not interesting to me. And I get that. Yeah, seriously, that is what I really collect, fruit trees. Um, but right, everyone has something. Some people like bottle caps, and some people collect shot glasses, and some people like fruit trees. So whatever your play personality is, or multiple play personalities are, it's nice to be able to kind of look at them and think about them. I'm glad that you think it's cool. I also think it's cool, which is why I keep doing it. But right, you probably fall into more than one of these categories, or can identify with more than one of them. It's pretty normal. Um, I don't think that we need to box ourselves in and say, "Oh, I'm this one and this one, but not these ones." I think it's just interesting to look at them and to kind of take a minute and say, "Oh, I do relate with these things. These are the things that I like the most." Um, so benefits of play. And I'm sure that these have probably already come up a little bit. The thing else is I like to be in a mix of things. So I like to be a little bit. Hmm. And just collect journals. Interesting. That is an interesting collection. Do you write in all of your journals? Oh, I see. Then you like to do various play personalities. Absolutely. Yeah, that makes sense. Magic the Gathering cards. Yeah, of course. Have fun. Um, yeah, stories. Awesome. Yeah, very cool. I think that everyone does have a play personality that shows up. Um, gear. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, okay. D&D creator, draw, paint, craft. Awesome. That's very cool. So on with the benefits of play. I think this is a big one that we probably don't acknowledge as much as I think is necessary. Is that play connects us with other people? Um, so much of play is. Oh, you collect books and Jack Skeleton items. I like that. Play connects us with each other. It's one of those things that keeps our relationships, alive and well. So more often, I have some friends who I occasionally will go and play online games with. But the reality is that I don't really care about playing the games. I mostly just want to talk with my friends. That's what I really like. I like the human connection. I like being able to catch up with my friends and see what's going on in their lives. And if we play video games together, that's fine. It's a lot of fun. But being connected with other people is really one of those big. You'll get the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which doesn't actually come up in this class, but being connected with other people is really important. Play fosters creativity, flexibility, and learning. It really does. It's just like, hey, do you want your brain to work good? You should play. um, collect movie tickets, very cool. My husband and I just moved cross country, and playing video games with our friends back home is how we stay in touch. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great way to do it. Um, it absolutely is. Right. Play really is. It's what keeps us mentally sharp. It's what keeps us on our toes. It's what keeps us thinking. And it is. It's really important. Play also reduces stress, which is huge. Um, I think that's one thing. I don't think I've ever met anyone who's just like, I need more stress in my life, and there's no reason to reduce it. Um, I think that when we're able to play and have fun, having lower stress levels is a really great result of that. And it's right. It's like, well, we got to have fun and we have less stress. It's really a win-win. So getting a little bit of perspective is another thing that I think is really useful. I think being able to stop and say, "Hey, what does this look like from the rest of for the rest of the world? What is what is their point of view like? What does that mean um, for other people?" So being able to get perspective out of play really goes a long way. I think this even starts in childhood. We look at, you think about playing pretend, and you play cops and robbers, and the cops catch the robbers and they put them into jail, and the kid sits there and says, "Oh gosh, jail is not a place I want to be." This is a perspective I didn't have before, but now I do have. And not that that's necessarily how it goes, but right, the ability to play and to imagine ourselves in different situations, um, really goes a long way. Perseverance is also, a big one. I'm sure everyone has had a time, a moment, something that they couldn't do, but you persevere. You go through something, you try it again and again and again and over, and eventually you get there. Play tends to make us happy. Um, I agree, it does. And a small amount of play will carry us a long way. I think that's something to think about. A lot of times, I think when we get into this, I don't have time for play mentality. We can carve out 15 or 20 minutes and just play, do something fun, take a few minutes to step back and relax and enjoy ourselves. And it really will. It'll carry us through the rest of the day. So I think keeping that in mind, that it can go a very long way and it doesn't take a lot of time. So reconnecting with play, it can look a lot of ways. Um, Thinking about, change how you think about it. If play has been a four-letter word, something that you haven't been engaging in, you've been trying to avoid, acknowledging that it may have some potential. It may be good for you. It may lend itself to furthering other goals you have. Um, this is draw a coffee cup and a saucer, and it says, practice, practice, practice. So like once a day, you draw the same thing. Um, Doing it one time is fine and great, but if you want something to become a habit, if you really want something to be something you can be good at, you need to practice it regularly. It needs to be a regular part of your life. If you draw the same thing every day, um, eventually those drawings are going to get really, really good. And the same is true of anything that we want to have be a regular part of our life. If we really want to get the benefits of it, we need to do it every day, or we need to engage in it in a regular, scheduled manner. Um, we develop determination and we learn our strengths and weaknesses in play. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Taking a play history, like I was talking about before, going through this one during the readings. Play history is a great way to reconnect with play and kind of evaluate. Oh yeah, I do remember these things from play, and I remember having these things as part of my life when I was younger, and I remember why this is fun and why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Surrounding yourself with playful people when you want to play is absolutely a huge one. It can be a huge distraction if you don't want to play and you want to get work done. But if you have friends or people who love to get out and play and have fun, be around them. That's a great way to make sure you have more play in your life. Play with little ones or pets. Kids seem to always want to play. I can tell you that from my children, they always want to play. There is never a time that they don't want to play. And pets are, unless they're sleeping, are usually the same way. So, we'll review what we learned about play, or it's there's this picture of a dog, which is fun. Right, Douglas, my 8-year-old, my 8-month old thinks it's fun to play 24 hours a day. Yeah, absolutely. Um, think the real takeaway from this is that play is good. It's not bad for us. It's not something that's going to hurt us. It's something that's really necessary and does a lot of good in the long run. But we need to kind of think about it maybe in a different light. Does anyone have any questions about anything that we've talked about today? No? All right. Well, if you want to, you can stick around and ask questions. If you don't, that's it for the go-to training. Like I said, I'm going to archive this. It will be available. So if you want to watch it again, you can. If you have questions, go back and rewatch it. Email me if you have questions. I'm happy to hear from you all. My email is jtmorton, MORTON, at fullsail.com. Yeah, hey, thanks everybody for being here. Yeah, it was great having you. Again, feel free to watch the archive. You can get anything you may have missed. But yeah, you're free to go. Enjoy your afternoons and evenings, and I hope everybody has a great rest of your week 1.